For 13 straight months, a small town in West Virginia was absolutely terrorized by something that seemed to crawl right out of our worst nightmares. This is that story, a story of a terrifying creature, strange premonitions, and a real-life disaster that connects it all. It really boils down to one question. What was this thing? And what did it want?
So our story takes place in Point Pleasant, a quiet little community right on the Ohio River. But what started out as, a local monster story, it quickly spiraled into something way, way darker. It became a countdown to a tragedy that was all too real.
And right there, that's the absolute chilling heart of this whole mystery. You have this entire 13-month saga, all these sightings, all this fear, and it's all bookended by a catastrophic event. Because the moment that bridge fell, the sightings just stopped. The question is, why?
Okay, so let's rewind. We have to go back to the very beginning, to the first night that put the Mothman on the map. It's late, it's dark, and a couple of young couples are about to have an encounter that will change their lives and their town forever.
They're driving around an old abandoned munitions plant. Creepy enough, right? When they see it, a figure, maybe 7 feet tall, with these enormous wings and huge glowing red eyes that just seem to lock onto them. They panic, they hit the gas, but this thing, it keeps up with them. At over 100 miles an hour, it's just effortlessly gliding right behind their car before it finally vanishes. They drive straight to the sheriff's office, completely and utterly terrified.
Roger Scarberry, he was one of the people in that car, and he never, ever backed down from his story. You could just hear the conviction and the terror in his voice. This wasn't some story they made up for fun. This was something that really happened to them.
And it turns out they weren't alone, not by a long shot. After their story got out, the reports just started flooding in from all over the area. It got to the point where it felt like everybody in town knew someone who had seen something. What started as one bizarre incident was quickly becoming a town-wide nightmare.
And this is where the fear becomes so incredibly real and personal. I mean, can you imagine being so paralyzed with terror that you actually drop your own child? Well, for one woman, Marcella Bennett, that nightmare became a reality. She came face to face with the creature and was just frozen in horror. It's a moment that really captures the pure primal fear people were feeling.
And that fear, it didn't just go away. For witnesses like Marcella, that encounter left a permanent scar. I mean, it's a trauma that would literally haunt her dreams for the rest of her life.
But here's the thing, it wasn't just the creature. The entire area was hit by this wave of, well, high strangeness is the best way to put it. People were seeing strange lights in the sky, TVs and radios were going haywire, people would find these massive, unidentifiable footprints. It was like the fabric of reality around Point Pleasant was getting thin. What in the world was happening?
So where did that iconic name, Mothman, even come from? Well, believe it or not, we have the 1960s Batman TV show to thank for it. A local reporter was a fan of the show, needed a catchy headline for this winged creature, and just like that, Mothman was born. And the name stuck big time.
And just when you think this story couldn't possibly get any weirder, oh, it does. As the sightings spread, witnesses started getting visitors. And honestly, these visitors were almost more unsettling than the monster itself.
Yeah, we're talking about the legendary Men in Black. They'd show up out of nowhere in these black cars, ask really strange questions, and they seemed to know things about the witnesses that they just shouldn't have known. People describe them as not quite human, with this weird, waxy-looking skin and robotic speech. And they always had one very clear message: stop talking about what you saw.
So what's the deal here? Who were these guys? Were they some kind of government agents trying to squash a story that was getting out of control? Or were they connected to the Mothman phenomenon itself? Just another piece of this bizarre cosmic puzzle. So, as if the giant winged creature and the creepy visitors weren't enough, the whole phenomenon took another bizarre turn. The threat was no longer just outside people's windows, it started creeping into their minds while they were asleep. You can just feel the dread building. In the last few weeks of 1967, dozens of people in town started having these incredibly vivid, terrifying nightmares about some kind of disaster. At first, the dreams were kind of vague, but they soon became horrifyingly specific. People like Mabel McDaniel dreamt of the Silver Bridge, the town's literal lifeline, just collapsing. They saw the cars plunging down into the icy river below. They could hear the screams. They would wake up in a cold sweat, absolutely convinced that something awful was about to happen. And then, on a cold winter evening, exactly 13 months after that very first sighting, the nightmares came true. It was just after 5 p.m., peak rush hour, cars packed bumper to bumper. A single, tiny link in a steel chain on the Silver Bridge snapped, and in less than 60 seconds, the entire structure just tore itself apart and crashed into the dark, freezing waters of the Ohio River. 46 people lost their lives that night. 46 families were just shattered. All of a sudden, the weird events of the past year, they weren't just a local spooky story anymore. They were the terrifying prelude to a national tragedy. And in the aftermath, as the town was reeling from this incredible loss, a strange quiet fell over Point Pleasant. The weird lights in the sky, the strange visitors, the creature with the burning red eyes, they were all gone, just vanished, as if their purpose, whatever it was, had been fulfilled. So, decades later, you basically have two main theories. You've got the skeptics, who say this was all a case of mass hysteria that probably started when someone misidentified a large bird, like a sandhill crane. But then you have the witnesses, and those who believe them, and they are convinced they saw a supernatural harbinger, an entity that was either trying to warn them or was maybe just there to watch it all happen. Which leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What really happened in Point Pleasant? Was the Mothman some kind of strange guardian angel trying and failing to deliver a warning? Was it an omen of death? Or is it simply a dark, chilling reminder that there are some mysteries out there that lie just beyond our understanding, things we were never meant to solve?